It's Cleveland Sports Tonight at the Bop Stop. With guests, Cleveland Indians Vice President of Baseball Operations, Brad Grant. And Ohio's Poet Laureate, Dave Lucas. Musical guests, Nathan Paul and friends. And now your host, Doug Lesmerises.
Welcome, everyone, to the debut of Cleveland Sports Tonight. Cleveland, we're doing a sports talk show. We're at the Bop Stop at the corner of 29th and Detroit, and I'm your host, Doug Lesmerises. And now let's welcome the Cleveland Sports Tonight band, Nathan Paul and friends. Nathan, can you introduce the band to everybody?
I'd be glad to. We got Frank Aloysius Walton on keys over here, key bass specifically. Daniel Spearman holding it down on the keys. And we got my main man, Holbrook Riles III, street sweeper, beat keeper. You see, and I'm Nathan Paul. So,
and you're Nathan Paul, and we have a band. I can't believe we have a band. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Every show, we're going to bring you great music by these guys. That's a guarantee. We're going to have interesting guests and funny jokes, or at least jokes. As Hugh Jackson once said, trust me. Also, next week's show will be filmed in the lake.
Hey.
We're doing all this without a live audience, just like the Browns. But we did invite some people tonight. Sashi Brown a ticket, but he traded it for 8 tickets in 2021. We gave Johnny Manziel a ticket, and he jumped on a swan, let everyone down, ran to Canada, and blamed us. And we gave Kyle Korver a ticket, but he has a history of not showing up when it matters. Yeah, we're doing Kyle Korver Burns here. That's real. It's been a crazy summer, though, right? We've got like LeBron stuff going on. We got the World Cup. And of course, this is a sports talk show, but we acknowledge the bigger picture in the world. We've got North Korea. But look at who we sent over there to glad hand Kim Jong-un. A reality show celebrity, self-absorbed, arrogant, terrible hair. Of course, I'm talking about Dennis Rodman. Rodman was, of course, a teammate of Michael Jordan, and we're always comparing Michael Jordan and LeBron, right? So can you imagine like a LeBron teammate on the world stage in a few years? I'm trying to think, Nathan, like to you in this LeBron era, who's like the Dennis Rodman of the LeBron era?
Draymond Green, man.
Draymond Green is actually a funnier answer. But the joke calls for us to say J.R. Smith. Let's hope they don't put J.R. in charge of the nuclear doomsday clock, though. He'd take it to overtime. The negotiations with North Korea are ongoing, though, right? This is important stuff. We shouldn't be joking about it. The United States is going to completely want North Korea to disarm all of their biggest bombs. In return, the U.S. will disarm Kyrie Irving's Uncle Drew movie. All right, so we have a great first show for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We have Brad Grant from the Indians. He helped build this roster. He's their Vice President of Baseball Operations, Strategy, and Administration. And then we have a poet, Dave Lucas. He's Ohio's Poet Laureate, and we're going to do some sports poems. But first, a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Are you a free thinker? Do you view provable facts as no different than random opinions?
Then you need to join the Kyrie Irving Flat Earth T-shirt of the Month Club. Nothing says I'm an independent mind, and not at all a science-denying kook, like our comfy 50-50 cotton poly blends arriving in your mailbox each month. You'll start with, I'm with Kyrie, the earth is flat, to be followed each month with bold, almost feasible expressions of contrary pseudo-intellect, like, Jordan Clarkson can pass a basketball. Jim Harbaugh is a Big Ten champion caliber football coach. J.R. Smith had a broken hand too, and our bestseller, Hugh Jackson, will lead the Browns to the playoffs. So don't be held back by facts. Believe whatever you want. Truth is dead. The Kyrie Irving Flat Earth Society and T-shirt of the Month Club. We push it to the edge, but not beyond, because we'd fall off.
Sports Tonight. Our guest right now is a guy who I think, I don't know, do you have the best title in sports? When you got strategy in your name, it makes you sound smart. Brad Grant, you are the Vice President of Baseball Operations and Strategy and Administration for the Indians. How'd you get that title?
I have no idea, but it's a fun title, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a big title.
But it makes you are smart, right? It means you're smart.
I think we're smart, and our scouting staff is very smart and has allowed us to get to this point.
So, like, you're a big strategy guy now, but you were out there, just so you know, Indians fans, this guy, like the team that you love, this guy helped build that team. You're out beating the bushes for 2 decades trying to find great players for the Indians, right?
Yes. Yeah, it started in 1995, and actually started as an intern in scouting, and then became an assistant in scouting, did all the administrative side of it, and then learned the road and learned the ability to scout through a bunch of great scouts that kind of took me under their tutelage and taught me how to do it. So became assistant director and then director of scouting for the past 10 years.
So I have a million questions about scouting, but I want to talk first about some of these guys that you found. This guy right here, who's this guy?
Cody Allen.
Cody Allen. What do you remember when you guys found Cody Allen?
We found Cody Allen twice, actually. So we drafted him in 2010 in the 16th round, and then drafted him again in 2011 in the 23rd round. So he was coming off an injury. He was at a 4-year school, wasn't quite ready to sign in 2010. We tried to do it. Fortunately, then he was coming out of junior college when we drafted him first, went to High Point, and saw him in High Point, and we were standing in the back of the room in the 23rd round, and our scout Bob Mayer and Mike Soper were like, hey, why don't we take another chance on Cody Allen? And we did, and got him to the big leagues within 2 years.
So we're not going to show the mistakes. We're only showing the good ones.
Right.
You guys don't make any mistakes. Who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Jason Kipnis.
Jason Kipnis. Now that's a high pick. What do you remember about him?
He was an outfielder at Arizona State, 2nd round pick. We knew he had the ability to play second base. We knew that he'd played shortstop in high school. We looked at him at second base while he was at college, but he never played it. A lot of people didn't think he'd truly profile as an everyday outfielder. We moved him to second base, and he took off from there.
Brilliant, brilliant. All right, this guy looks a little scared in his picture right here. Who is this guy?
Lonnie Chisenhall.
Lonnie Chisenhall. Now, he's a first rounder, right? So you don't have to dig as much for him.
Yeah, 2008, it was the first year as a scouting director. He was at South Carolina, had a transfer to a junior college. We spent a lot of time with Lonnie. The scout who signed Cody Allen, Bob Mayer, also signed Lonnie Chisenhall. Yep, spent a lot of time with Lonnie, knew he was a really, really good hitter, scouted him from high school all the way through, and had the chance to take him in 2008.
Let me see if there's any more good ones. Who's this? Oh, yeah, this guy. Do we know this guy? Does anyone know who this might be?
That one was easy.
This one, but here's the thing. Who is this?
Francisco Lindor.
Now, here's the thing, right? He was the 6th pick in the draft, is that right?
8th pick in the draft.
8th pick in the draft. But you still can screw that up. People screw up the 8th pick all the time.
I mean, it was a deep draft. Trevor Bauer was that same draft. Javi Baez was that same draft. There were a lot of really good players in that draft. We were fortunate to be able to get Francisco in the 8th round. I mean, the ability to play shortstop, when you go to watch that, it was evident in high school, and that energy, everything he had. He was a special player.
All right, we got one more future star here. This is from, who's this? Do we know who that might be? Does this look familiar at all? Who's this fine young man? This is you.
That's me?
This is you. You were a swimmer?
I was a swimmer, yes.
Because you're from around here.
I grew up in Shaker Heights. I went to university school. My dad was the athletic director there for 40-some years, and he was a swim coach there. So I grew up a swimmer, went to Miami of Ohio as a swimmer.
So look at that. So that's swimmer body, man. You're an athlete, right? You're an athlete.
Was.
So here's what I want to know from you. So congratulations, first of all, on all these guys you have brought to Cleveland. Someone has to bring these players here. What do scouts eat, though, right? So here's what I want to know. You have this swimmer body, you're this young athletic guy, and then for 20 years, you're out on the road. Are you eating salads? Or are you living in the McDonald's drive-thru?
We're living in gas stations. We're living wherever it takes. The life of a scout it really is. It's the backbone of the organization, but the life of the scout is it's intense and it's a grind. You are out there every single day. You hop on a plane. You're flying around the country. You're in a different hotel every night. You don't know where you're going to go the next day because it's all dependent on weather. It's all dependent on who's pitching. So you get back to the hotel at 1 o'clock in the morning, make a flight, go to the next city the next day, go watch the game at 4 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and then do it all over again.
So is your wallet like stuffed full of receipts by the end of a trip?
Yes, your wallet stuff full of
Yeah.
receipts, and then you name the status, I have it. So I think I'm lifetime member at Marriott, a lifetime United Gold member. My wife has it, I have it, so a lot of time on the road.
Maybe I want to be a scout now. Are there secrets, right? So are there secrets in scouting? Have you had moments where you're going to see a guy, maybe a high school kid, and you're on him, and you're hoping other guys aren't on him? Or is that like that happened in the 40s and that can't happen anymore?
Yeah, that's where scouting is changing now. So the speed of information is so fast, and every player now is known. So it's not that you're going to go hide out, Bob Feller in Iowa and go find him. All the players are known. Now it's what information are we finding out that 29 other clubs aren't finding out? So the Jason Kipnis story of, does he have the ability to play second base? Can we work him out at second base so that we have that advantage of knowing when we go to draft him that he can probably play second base?
Okay, so, like, are you guys, you're hanging out, like I'm imagining you sitting in aluminum bleachers,
Right.
guys are drinking Diet Coke, hey, I'm going to get a hot dog at the concession stand. Are you, like, friendly with the other scouts, or are you sneaking in the bushes? Do you ever put out misinformation? Oh, yeah, we don't like this kid. And then, like, how do you play that game?
You play that game a lot. I mean, you're surrounded by 29 other teams. You don't have the attachment of being here in Cleveland. You don't have the attachment of being at an affiliate. Your attachment is working with 29 other scouts that you're around every single day. So we all interact, we all talk, we're all friends, but at the same time, we're all extremely competitive in how we do it. So we don't want to share that one piece of information that we have. So we do. We'll put out those pieces at times to make sure that they'll think we're on one player and we're actually on a different player.
So you're like synthesizing information now, right?
Yeah.
You're gathering it yourself, but you're taking all the info that all your guys get, and then you've got to make decisions.
Yeah.
When you were a scout back in the day, how do you go about selling a guy to your employer, to your team? Are you pounding the table? We've got to take this guy.
Yeah, there was that approach for a while I was doing it. It was kind of, you've got to sell the player and you've got to sell all the work you've done. Now it's how do you take the bias and emotion out of that decision-making process, and how do you systematically factor in all the information that we acquire. We acquire a ton of information now, and then how do you systematically do that without having to stand up on a table and make a case for a player?
So we showed your big hits, right? You love it when I'm showing Francisco Lindor. Everybody thinks you're a genius.
Yeah.
What's your hit ratio as a scout? What's a good hit ratio? I know everybody gets it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
How often do you have to get it right to go from a guy who started out at the bottom in the organization, interning and that kind of thing, and now you have strategy in your title? How often were you right and how often were you wrong along the way?
We're wrong a lot more than we're right. It's 40 rounds. You're going to draft 40 players every single year. So over the past 10 years, it's been 400 players, and you hit on 10 of those players, and then it's probably pretty successful. So the game of baseball is a game of failure and a game of constant adjustments, and it's the same thing in scouting.
Well, you must be doing something right. Mr. Strategy, the Indians are good. You got like 2 promotions in 2 years.
It's not me. It really is. It's our scouting staff. It's our front office. It's a group that collectively works together. It's not just me being there for 25 years. It's Mark Shapiro and Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff. There's a group that's been there for a long time and who are consistently doing it the right way.
Well, you're building a winner in Cleveland. I'm sure fans appreciate that. Brad Grant, thank you for joining us here on Cleveland Sports Tonight, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Cleveland Sports Tonight. We are with the Poet Laureate of Ohio, Dave Lucas. Do I call you Your Highness or Sir, or how do you address a Poet Laureate?
That would be a nice start, yeah.
Okay,
that would be fine.
Your Highness.
That would be fine, but Dave will do for the time being.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, Dave, so listen, this is a sports show. You're a poet, but I'm wondering this, right? You're a sports fan. You said one of your first sports memories is the drive. I'm imagining...
Do we have to talk about this?
Yeah, because the pain, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Poets love pain, don't they? Has that made you a better poet, being a Cleveland sports fan?
I didn't know it then, but yes. That experience, that early experience when I was still young and believed in things, watching John Elway drive the Broncos down from the 2-yard line to score the touchdown, put the game into overtime. It was like a poem in its own right, a poem that starts off with great promise and is beautiful, and then just ends in tragedy and heartbreak.
Oh, I love it. I can feel the yearning within you. See, if everyone thinks that's been a problem, if the Browns had won that game, you might like be a busboy right now.
What would I be doing?
Yeah.
This is why 2016 was so difficult for me, because when the Cavs won the championship, it of course was great. It was a fantastic thing. The city went wild, but something just didn't feel right about it.
Yeah.
So when the Indians then lost in Game 7 in those circumstances, I slept so easily that night. Everything with the world had gone back to the way that it should be. It was like waking up to a world that I could trust, you know? A world that I could write poems in.
So the Cavs championship, the parade, great for Cleveland, bad for poets.
Bad for poets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about like life as a poet, right? Like the competitive world of poetry. Listen, man, you're the poet laureate.
It's all glamour and money. Yeah. All the time.
You're the king, baby. Everyone's coming for the king. But yet you said that the genres of like fiction and memoir are like the Yankees and Lakers.
That's right.
Said. Of the writing world. What's poetry then?
Poetry is perpetually a mid-sized market,
Okay.
And maybe even a minor league team in a mid-sized market. So we're maybe not quite the Indians, we're sort of maybe the captains. And purists come out and they want to see what we're doing, but they're also kind of interested in the hot dog races and the freebies and things like that.
Yeah, okay. So you do, but in expanding, right? You're the laureate, you're expanding poetry across Ohio. As part of that, you have been teaching a class at Case called Poetry for People Who Hate Poetry. Doesn't everyone hate poetry?
Well,
no
that is part of the redundancy of the title, is that it could just be poetry for people, and the rest of it is implied. But no, I don't think people do hate poetry. I think a lot of people think they hate poetry, but I think that, for instance, well, you're a sports guy, so you know that sports folks, sports reporters, sports players are constantly speaking in a kind of poetry because they speak in slang all the time. And I love the slang of sports, just like I love the slang of almost any other field or the jargon of any other field. And all of that to me is poetry because it's creative. I mean, I think there's something wonderful. I don't play golf, but I love the language of golf, bogey and mulligan and eagle and all of that. I think those are great elements of taking the language that we speak every day and making it into a sort of art form.
So you're very much like into the everyday poetry of language. So I didn't know it, but when I wrote Cody Kessler got sacked, I was a poet.
That's got some nice alliteration.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you said like sack, blitz, you're into the soccer thing, pitch, touch. You said pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Has a lot of good poetry.
Yeah, how much time do we have?
What is that? What does that mean? Like Superfly Jimmy Snuka? That's a poem, or what?
Well,
are we
not
talking
that
about?
so much, but take something as simple as the hammerlock or the pile driver. I love those names, but then you get a little bit more into the slang and the lingo of pro wrestling, like the gorilla position backstage where Gorilla Monsoon used to stand. Some of your viewers will know what I'm talking about, at least, and I say hello to you if you do. That kayfabe itself, which was the code that wrestlers would abide by, that said that they wouldn't interact. You wouldn't see necessarily the Undertaker hanging out with one of his opponents outside of the ring. Just the way that they used to try to keep up the stage act. So I love all of that language from pro sports to pro wrestling, sports entertainment, any of it that you can get.
So I got to tell you, you are a pretty successful poet laureate if you're telling me pro wrestling is poetry. You are spreading the message, my friend.
Maybe I wouldn't go quite so far as to say that it's poetry, but it's poetic.
We're going to test it. We're going to do some sports poems. I have started some sports poems, and I'm going to see if I can finish them as well as Ohio's poet laureate. We're getting artsy here on Cleveland Sports Tonight. Let's do some music, and then we're going to do some sports poems with Dave Lucas. very much. Great as always. We are now at the Poetry Slam part of Cleveland Sports Tonight. Dave Lucas, the Ohio Poet Laureate, and me, a lowly sports writer. We have 3 sports poems where I have started us with an opening line to see how we finish these poems. We're going to start with a Hugh Jackson poem. I'll go first.
Okay.
Set the bar very low, and
ready.
then we'll let the poet come in over the top.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Hugh Jackson a promise did make, so he had to go jump in a lake. Now Todd Haley is here, so maybe the offense won't look like it stepped on a rake. Oh. How about that?
Now, the most important thing after you read a poem is to allow a moment of silence, and then for the audience to go, oh.
Oh, okay.
So we have to allow for that, okay?
I'm bad at silence.
So, all right.
That's a good tip, though. All right.
So I did mine in the form of a limerick. I hope you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Hugh Jackson a promise did make, so he had to go jump in a lake. But he waited till May, almost as if to say, only so much a Browns coach can take.
Oh, I ruined the silence.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, that
It's
was
okay.
good. That was good. I think you won round 1.
Ecstatic momentary joy will do also.
Oh, yeah. See,
That's
that's
fine.
good. That's like sports. I went, woo, for your poem. All right. This next one is a haiku. A haiku, which I know this, I'm impressing you, is 5, 7, 5 for the syllables, right? Isn't that right?
That'll do.
That'll do. That's the working man's haiku. All right. I'll start mine. This is about Jose Ramirez. That was the opening line. That's 5. Jose Ramirez hitting homers now. Mike Trout, Jose is gaining. Take that, poet.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I thought.
okay. Mine's a little more avant-garde.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
Jose Ramirez. All I can really say is Jose Ramirez.
Silence. I'm silent.
Notice that little rhyme in
You
there.
stunned me with
Ramirez
silence.
yeah.
I was going to repeat Jose Ramirez. I thought that wasn't allowed, but the poet did it, so it's okay.
It's
All right, we're on to number 3. This is our last sports poem. I'm going to let you start this one.
You ready? Okay.
I'm ready for
okay.
this. It's about Cleveland's most poetic, perhaps, performer.
Now let's give credit where it's due, though. These first 2 lines are yours.
These are mine.
All I did was fill in the last one.
I think you mean blame, or blame is good. Go ahead.
Right. What is the score? Does JR know? His mind is wandering elsewhere, though. Hey, remember when the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead?
Man, I should have let you end with that. God, you are a Cleveland guy. You're not just a poet. You are a Cleveland sports
Indeed,
fan.
yeah.
I can't match that. Mine rhymes a little bit. Yours is better. You know what? I'm tearing mine up. We're going to end with Dave Lucas. I can't match that. That's our poetry slam on Cleveland Sports Tonight. Thanks to you guys for watching our first episode. Thanks to our guests, Brad Grant of the Indians, Dave Lucas, Ohio's Poet Laureate. Thanks to Gabe Pollock and the Bop Stop. This is the Bop Stop. You can learn more about the Bop Stop on the internet at themusicsettlement.org. Thank you to Nathan, Paul, and friends. You can find their music at tinural.com/Nathan Paul. That's him. Nathan, you got some gigs coming up?
Yeah.
We'll get you the gigs. We'll get you the gigs. That's our show. You can tweet us on Twitter at CLE Sports Tonight. We'll take your criticisms, your comments, your praise. We'll take your poems. Thanks to you guys. Good night. We'll see you later on Cleveland Sports Tonight.